Of the millions of faces that flood the American Idol stage each season, only a handful truly transcend the screen and touch the hearts of viewers. Kanan James is one of them. Not just a talented contestant, but a master storyteller with a mesmerizing voice. What most viewers don't know, however, is that Kanan's journey to that grand stage is filled with much deeper twists and turns. A story not fully revealed in the spotlight. From humble beginnings in Dallas, Texas, to a family legacy that stretches far beyond the world of music, Kanan has a much richer and more meaningful narrative. What we see on TV is only a glimpse of the real him, and this video will take you far beyond the Idol stage to uncover the hidden layers of his story. When Kanan James first stepped onto the American Idol stage, many viewers were immediately captivated by his unique presence, a combination of calming confidence and a voice so moving it seemed to bring peace to any space. But if we told you that what you saw on television was just a small piece of a much larger and more complex tapestry, would you believe it? Kanan James, a young contestant from Dallas, Texas, made a powerful impression with his audition performance, even securing the final platinum ticket of the season. But the truth is, American Idol barely scratches the surface of who he truly is. In a matter of minutes, viewers are introduced to a young man with a heart as pure as the gospel and the soul of a pastor. But that glimpse leaves many questions. Who exactly is Kanan James, and what shaped him into the person he is today? This video isn't just about his singing competition appearance. It's about everything that led up to that moment and everything American Idol never told you. From the outside, Kanan may seem like just another talented singer trying to make it on the national stage, but if you dig a little deeper, you'll discover a journey shaped by faith, family, and an unwavering calling that goes beyond just music. This is the story of a young man who surprisingly chose to graduate high school early. Not for fame or fortune, but because he believed he was destined to preach. It's the story of someone who never sought the spotlight, yet managed to capture it effortlessly because of the authenticity of his voice and message. In an entertainment era where theatricality often takes center stage, Kanan James stands out simply by being himself. And that's something you don't often see on mainstream television, a refreshing twist that sets him apart from the rest. Long before the lights of American Idol shone on him, Kanan James was nurtured and shaped in a far more sacred and profound setting, his grandfather's church in Dallas, Texas. Kanan's musical journey didn't begin with a vocal coach or an audition tape. It began with hymns, gospel choirs, and the echo of passionate sermons bouncing off the walls of a southern sanctuary. Raised in a deeply religious family, Kanan was surrounded by music that wasn't just about melody, but about profound meaning. Gospel music, in particular, became not only the soundtrack to his childhood, but also a spiritual guide that would shape the direction of his life. Shaping the foundation of his soul, his grandfather, a pastor and gospel singer, played a monumental role in shaping Kanan's worldview, both musically and spiritually. Kanan didn't just grow up listening to gospel music. He lived it, breathed it, and ultimately embodied it in every breath and note he sang. Unlike many young singers who are exposed to pop music and commercial influences from an early age, Kanan's earliest musical memories are tied to purpose, not popularity. In church, singing wasn't about performance. It was about connecting with God, with each other, and with something far greater than the individual, a transcendental experience that shaped his essence as an artist. From an early age, he was exposed to the raw emotions and deeply rooted traditions of gospel spirituals and standards. These weren't just songs to him, they were prayers set to music, and that's what set Kanan apart from the average contestant on shows like American Idol. He didn't sing to impress the audience. He sang because he was called to do so, because he believed it was part of his destiny. An undeniable inner drive that transcended the mere desire to perform. Kanan's family wholeheartedly supported his musical and spiritual development. Rather than pushing him toward a glamorous career in entertainment, they encouraged him to find his voice in spiritual ministry. His early performances weren't in talent shows or school plays. They were on church stages and in fraternity halls, where sincerity was far more important than showmanship. This foundation gave him a unique strength that would serve him well when he finally found himself in front of the American Idol judges. It wasn't stage fright he had to overcome. It was ensuring his message was heard loud and clear, not just as a singer, but as a messenger. For Kanan, every note he sings carries the weight of the generations that came before him, especially his grandfather, whose legacy lives on through his grandson's voice. In a world increasingly obsessed with viral moments and social media fame, Kanan James is a refreshing reminder that sometimes the most powerful art comes from humble beginnings. His early life, filled with purpose and a gospel voice, gave him the tools to not only move audiences but minister to them. That depth, so it's not something you can fake. An American Idol only gives us a taste. The real story begins long before the cameras start rolling. One of the most surprising facts about Kanan James' prize, something barely touched on American Idol, is that he graduated from high school early. In today's entertainment world, it's not uncommon to see young people chasing fame before completing their education. But QAnon's path wasn't about shortcuts or instant fame. He didn't rush through school to jump straight into the music industry. No, his decision to graduate early was rooted in something much deeper, his calling to spiritual ministry. While most teenagers are thinking about prom, standardized test scores, or which college they'll attend, QAnon is busy preparing sermons and working toward becoming a pastor. This speaks volumes not only to his discipline but also to his strong sense of purpose. He's not only academically mature, he's also spiritually attuned, in a way that most adults don't achieve until much later in life. QAnon made a conscious choice to focus on his spiritual calling by accelerating his studies. According to interviews and local reports, he saw school as a necessary step, not an end in itself. He took extra classes, worked hard, and fulfilled his requirements so he could move on to the next phase of what he believed was God's calling for him. This wasn't a decision he made lightly, nor was it influenced by parental pressure or external expectations. It was deeply personal, and that's what makes it so compelling. Because, while American Idol may show us a young man with a beautiful voice and gospel vibes, they don't reveal the level of commitment, drive, and sacrifice he has made to walk the path of his purpose. Graduating early also meant QAnon had to grow up quickly. He wasn't just stepping into adulthood academically, he was also stepping into spiritual leadership, and with leadership comes great responsibility. Preaching isn't just about standing behind a pulpit and reciting scripture. It's about guiding people, supporting them in their darkest moments, and offering wisdom and clarity when life gets especially difficult. That QAnon felt ready to take on such responsibility at such a young age demonstrates a rare combination of humility and strength. These aren't traits you develop overnight. They come from years of discipline, prayer, and being mentored by leaders who recognized his potential early on. Leaders like his grandfather who had walked the path before him. It's important to note that American Idol is designed to showcase musical talent, not necessarily character or personal growth. But when someone like QAnon steps onto that stage, it becomes impossible to separate the voice from the story. Because, when he sings, he's not just performing, he's preaching. And that message becomes even more powerful when you understand that he's not just a singer by background. He's a preacher who chose the American Idol microphone as just one more way to spread the word. That accelerated education was never about getting ahead. It was about aligning with what he believed he was born to do. At the center of everything Kanan James does, whether it's preaching, singing, or simply the way he carries himself, is his unwavering faith. If American Idol gives you a glimpse of that, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Faith isn't something QAnon just talks about, it's the blueprint for his entire life. His connection to gospel music isn't about genre, it's about purpose. Gospel is the language of his heart, the rhythm of his childhood, and the tool through which he ministers to others. From his early days singing in his grandfather's church to standing on the Idol stage singing "I Need Your Glory" by Ernest Pugh, every note he sings is filled with spiritual conviction. It's not just his vocal ability that moves people when he performs, it's the presence of something deeper, something divine. And for QAnon, that's the bottom line. He's not trying to be the next pop star or viral sensation. He's trying to reach people's souls, and he's using music to do it. When QAnon chose "I Need Your Glory" for his audition, he didn't choose it because it would impress the judges. He chose it because it spoke to his heart. The song, rich with reverence and longing, speaks not only of his own journey with God, but also of how he hopes others feel when they hear him sing. It's a musical prayer that asks for more of God's presence, more of his power, and less about the singer's appearance. That's the essence of who QAnon is. Someone who doesn't just sing about God, but sings to God in hopes that others will join in. In a show known for its catchy hooks and stunning vocals, QAnon brings something else to the table: poise, sincerity, and the kind of authenticity that can't be taught in a vocal lesson or produced through a TV edit. His faith has also shaped the way he approaches every opportunity. In interviews, QAnon has said he never expected to audition for American Idol. He wasn't seeking fame or recognition. He was simply following what he believed was a divine prompting. Such surrender to faith is rare, especially in a world that values ambition and tenacity above all else. But for QAnon, tenacity isn't the goal. Service is every opportunity is weighed through the lens of purpose. Does this glorify God? Will this allow me to serve others? Will this amplify the message of hope and healing I'm trying to spread? If the answer is no, then even if it comes with applause and exposure, he's willing to go. That level of conviction is what sets him apart from so many others who step into the spotlight. Kanan James' audition on American Idol wasn't just a performance. It was a moment. In a season filled with impressive vocals, pop covers, and dramatic backstories, his audition stood out for one simple reason: it felt like church. And not just the kind of church where people clap and sing along, but the kind where the room goes silent, the air grows thick, and you can feel something sacred moving through the atmosphere. That's what happened when QAnon stood before the judges Lionel Richie, Katy and Luke Bryan and began singing I Need Your Glory by Ernest Pugh. The room changed. The energy shifted. It wasn't just about hitting the notes. It was about creating a space for reverence. From the very first line, it was clear that this young man wasn't there to impress. He was there to serve. That kind of authenticity doesn't just happen. It comes from a life lived with intention. As soon as Kanan began singing, the judges were visibly moved. Lionel Richie, in particular, looked as if he'd been transported to another place. A place of awe, reverence, and deep emotion. Katy sat still, her eyes wide as if realizing this wasn't just a performance, but a testimony. Even Luke Bryan, often a more down-to-earth and relaxed judge, seemed taken aback by the intensity of what he was witnessing. When QAnon finished, Lionel's reaction said it all. He jumped to his feet and walked over to the young singer, embracing him as if welcoming a long-lost friend. "You're not here by chance," Richie told him. And in that one sentence he confirmed what many viewers had felt while watching. This is bigger than just a show, something spiritual has happened. But what most viewers didn't see, or perhaps didn't fully understand, was the level of risk QAnon was taking by choosing a deeply spiritual and less commercially well-known gospel song in a competition where contestants often tend to choose pop hits or soulful ballads that showcase vocal gymnastics. He chose a worship song that spoke directly to God's heart. It wasn't the usual idol playbook. It wasn't strategic. It was sincere, and that's what made it so powerful. He didn't mold himself to fit the idol machine. He brought something of himself that couldn't be replicated. That takes courage, especially in an environment where everyone is vying for attention. QAnon didn't come to that audition hoping to be famous. He came hoping to be faithful. And in doing so, he not only earned a platinum ticket, he earned the respect and admiration of 3 seasoned judges, a national audience, and most importantly, he stayed true to himself. The platinum ticket isn't just a coveted prize on American Idol. It's a statement. It's the show's way of saying that these contestants aren't just good, they're extraordinary. So, when Kanan James was awarded the final platinum ticket of the season, it wasn't just about accelerating his path to Hollywood. It was a moment that validated everything he'd been striving for. But what you don't see, or perhaps what isn't fully revealed, is how deeply affected the judges were by his audition and what their reactions reveal about QAnon's true impact on the show. Lionel Richie's response, in particular, went viral, with clips circulating on social media showing the legend leaping from his seat, visibly moved. Such unfiltered reactions are rare, and when they do happen, they speak volumes. Lionel wasn't reacting to vocal range or stage presence. He was reacting to passion, to something raw, real, and deeply moving. As soon as Kanan finished singing, I Need Your Glory, Lionel stood up and walked over to him, embracing him as if welcoming a long-lost friend. I cried, Lionel said, his voice cracking with emotion. It was beyond measure. It was blessed. And in that word, blessed, he captured exactly what had just happened. This wasn't just talent. It was a calling. That Lionel has seen thousands of performers, many of whom are far more polished or experienced on stage than QAnon. But rarely has he seen someone come in and completely change the energy of the room just by being themselves. That authenticity is what earned QAnon a platinum ticket, not just his voice, but his heart. Katy and Luke Bryan echoed Lionel's sentiments. Katy, known for her more analytical critiques, seemed genuinely touched. You brought heaven to earth, she said softly. It's rare to see the judges so completely in agreement in their praise, especially on an audition as bold and overtly spiritual as QAnon's. But in this case, there was no arguing. QAnon didn't just sing. He transformed the room. And that's what made the platinum ticket a no-brainer. The producers and judges knew this wasn't just a contestant who could make good TV. This was someone who could move people, not with drama or gimmicks, but with truth. What the show didn't emphasize enough, however, was the weight behind that platinum ticket. For most contestants, it meant a smoother path to Hollywood. But for QAnon, it meant something far more significant. It was confirmation that his decision to step out in faith, to follow his inner urge, to bring worship to the mainstream, was seen, felt, and respected. The platinum ticket wasn't a reward for performance. It was a recognition of purpose. As soon as Kanan James' audition aired, the internet lit up with reactions. Social media feeds were flooded with reposts of the performance, clips of Lionel Richie's emotional reactions, and quotes about the power of faith in music. But beyond the predictable wave of applause, something more meaningful was happening. People were talking about how something felt. In a landscape where viral content can often feel disposable, Kanan's audition sparked real conversations about God, purpose, family, and a type of art that transcends entertainment. Viewers across the country weren't just impressed, they were moved.